I'm feeling pretty good about what's out here. There's I mean, the first place I stopped, there's a small beach with lots of rocks, some picturesque yachts, sailboats out here, which, you know, I could include in my compositions, could make an interesting element. Really right now, I'm just on the hunt, and I'll see what I find throughout the day and then come back to wherever I think might be the best spot and use that. Hey, so what I started shooting here are a bunch of abstract photographs of all the textures and lines, as well as little mussels and barnacles in this piece of driftwood. It's got a nice red hue to it, and it has all these interesting lines and is kind of wet, so it's shining a little bit. I love abstract nature photographs because the patterns that you find in nature all over the place mimic each other and do all kinds of really interesting things that are very inspiring to me. Time to search for another cove. The light is definitely becoming more bright, more contrasty, which isn't great for doing photography right now, but it does bode well for the sunset this evening. So I've just gone and explored another beachfront, and let's just say it's a pretty wealthy area, and they make parking close to the beach kind of difficult. I don't think I've found the spot yet, but I think I'll just keep looking, and I'm pretty sure I'll know it when I see it. Regardless, I found a few spots that are reasonably good, and it's all about the light anyway, so if that comes through, I'm sure I'll walk away from this expedition with something nice. I may have found my location. I'm walking along a path that hugs the sea, and I was able to find parking to access it, which is important. And it looks like off in the distance there's a point with a madrone tree and several other trees with the background of all the island chains and puffy clouds right behind it. So I'm gonna go check that out. I also see some birds, a blue heron, and a lot of driftwood, which is really nice at sunset because it just really, an even colored light takes on whatever the atmospheric conditions are and can get really lovely textures and exposures with it. So at this point, this could be it. So I'm just under the railroad tracks that connect the two beaches at Furry Creek and are an overpass for the creek itself. And it's actually the time of year where salmon go upstream to spawn. And so I saw all these kind of fins coming out of the creek, and a few people who I passed by as I was walking on the trail told me that there were lots of salmon in this creek. So I've come down to the creek, and they're a little skittish when they have room to move, but it's amazing to see their journey and see how they literally just go against the current and try to get upstream. I mean, there's, you know, boulders in the way, the water's rushing the wrong way. It's just a really amazing thing that they do every year to spawn. There's actually several blue herons and vultures down the creek, and they're all just kind of waiting for their next meal. You know, as these salmon get tired of swimming upstream, a lot of them don't make it, and so there's kind of a life cycle event here. Hey, so patience has paid off, and I've reached the grand finale of this trip. I decided to stay at Furry Creek, and I am photographing this small island with the cluster of trees and just letting the sunset take its various iterations and getting as many shots as I can within each phase. Mostly it's been sort of a silhouetted type shot. I'll show you in camera here in a second. But I'm doing different zoom lengths and mostly the same shutter speed and aperture. It's still pretty bright back there. We've had some God rays coming down. But mostly it's a pretty simple composition, just sort of the dark islands and trees in the foreground, and then the even larger islands in the background. Here, I'll show you in camera what I got going. I really like what's going on with the clouds. There's been a lot of drama, a lot of God rays or Jacob's ladders, whatever your preferred vocabulary is for those, and just a really constantly shifting evening. The blue of this scene is really nice. It really captures what it's like to be out here. And then the yellow of the sun just kind of glinting everything and creating that highlighted contrast of light in this image is just really pleasing to me. I've been shooting with kind of a typical landscape aperture, f8, and shutter speed just slower and slower as the light fades, but right now it's still enough. Even though I'm mounted on a tripod, it's still a quick enough shutter that I could probably get away with handheld. But I'm preparing for the sunset, and so as the light fades, it'll get slower and slower, and I want to be ready for that. I'm playing around with different zoomed focal lengths. Right now this is the 35 millimeters, and I'm sort of zooming in and getting different areas of the island with different, more tight backgrounds. But like I said, this is sort of the essential shot that I'm working with this evening as the light changes. So taking photographs over here, and then I turn around and I'm reminded why you should always check your surroundings. The clouds behind me are lighting up like crazy, and there's just some awesome mist clinging to this hill that's right in between the drainage here of Furry Creek. Oh, looks great. The light is getting a little bit richer and more vibrant, starting to become a little bit more red-orange than it is yellow. Really hoping that the sun doesn't get obscured over the horizon as I take these final shots, and really just hoping for some nice color in the sky to really put the icing on the cake. So another thing I've decided to experiment with this particular location is a panorama. I'm taking multiple shots beginning right here and then swinging all the way around over to this right side of the shot. I think that that's going to make for a really beautiful panorama, and would probably look really nice on a wall. Hey, so another thing I just wanted to say about this particular trip is all up and down this highway, there are a lot of people. It's a really popular area because of its proximity to Vancouver. And I happened to find a place, well, didn't happen to, I searched long enough until I found a place that was really quiet and also open to the public for people. You know, accessible, but just off the beaten path. And I don't know about the other photographers as much, but it really helps me get into my rhythm if I feel comfortable in my surroundings. And that usually means not a lot of people sort of paying lots of attention to me as I'm trying to do my thing, making comments about, you know, me flying a drone or, you know, having a nice camera or anything like that. I just really love the solitude of photography in nature, and it sort of messes with my flow if I can't have that solitude. You know, you still you got to work with whatever situation you have. But just in terms of this place being perfect for my preferences in an environment for being a photographer, this was also a really great find in that respect. Okay, that's a wrap for me on this photography expedition. I think I got some really nice photos on this trip, and I really appreciate you coming along with me.